So hello everybody, welcome to our webinar tonight. So my name's Deborah, I run the services directory for Pure Portugal. Have been doing so for about 6 years, and the directories for offering support when you're in Portugal, everything from builders, accountants, architects. And this is our first webinar, so this is quite exciting for us. And tonight we have Holborn Assets who are going to talk about the Golden Visa. So I'm going to hand you straight over to Jason and Sean, who are going to do a presentation to explain about it, and an opportunity for Q&A at the end. So I'll hand it straight over. Welcome everyone.
Thanks, Deborah. Yeah, we feel honoured being the guest on your first webinar. Thank you for inviting us on. And yes, it's myself, my colleague Shane, that'll be coming on shortly to talk about, as you say, the Golden Visa, and the topic that we're covering today is now the time to invest in a hotel for the Golden Visa. But thanks for everyone for joining. It is our first webinar with Pure Portugal, and I'm sure not the last. But everyone, please to get as much as you can out of the webinar. Myself and Shane will cover off as many questions around the Golden Visa as we can, and answering some of the kind of hot questions that we're getting at the moment around, is now the time to buy? There was I should be aware, Deborah, there was an announcement a couple of weeks back from the Portuguese Prime Minister about the possible withdrawal of the Golden Visa in the near future. We've had another update on that, some good update on that just this week from Parliament, which we'll touch on shortly. Also, for anyone that's buying with dollars at the moment, the exchange rate into euros is the best it's been for a very long time. So the actual entry point to get in for a Golden Visa now is down from $340,000 to $280,000 from just this time last year. So the question is now the time to be buying into the Golden Visa? So we'll be covering that off. I will also talk about how you can get the Golden Visa for Portugal for as little as €280,000. We'll have a look at the requirements to qualify for the Golden Visa as well. We often get questions around the D7 visa by comparison to the Golden Visa. So again, we'll touch on the differences between the two, and yeah, where to start, and what the process looks like, and what's involved to actually get yourself over to Portugal in the near future. I'll be covering off a little bit about Portugal's unique tax regime as well, which is one of the reasons Portugal remains to be a hotspot into Europe. The tax regime is the non-habitual residency scheme, which we'll cover as well, which allows some significant tax breaks for new residents for the first 10 years that they arrive in Portugal. And then to finish off, we'll be showing you a selection of some of the top Golden Visa qualifying investments available right now in Porto. We'll be looking at the likes of Lisbon, Porto, and down where I am in the Algarve as well. Towards the end, we'll have a question and answer section as well. So you'll see at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a nice Q&A box. Please do feel free to post any questions in the Q&A section. Those will pop up for myself and Shane towards the end of the webinar, and we'll make sure we cover all of those before we finish. We've got until the hour, so we've got plenty of time to talk you through all of the above, and hopefully cover off the questions as well. And yeah, I hope you get a lot out of it as we go through. So just to introduce myself, first of all, my name is Jason Swan. I'm a senior partner for Holborn Assets. Please excuse this horrible moustache that I'm wearing. As you can see on the screen, that's normally what I look like, but this is for a very good cause, and it's not a fashion statement. But if you can look past the moustache, my job is primarily looking after my clients' assets and wealth, and I work as a financial planner for my clients that are moving into Portugal. Holborn Assets, we're actually not a Golden Visa company. We're a wealth management practice. We manage just in excess of $3 billion between our 20 offices worldwide, and we have a number of advisors operating and servicing clients in over 100 different countries. So we are a significant setup, and a few years back we introduced a new part of Holborn Assets, which is a service designed for residency and citizenship via investment. And that team in particular is Holborn Passport, which is headed up by my colleague Shane Peacock, who'll be talking a little bit more on that shortly. I'm down in Portugal myself. I moved to the Algarve a couple of years back. So when I'm talking from experience. I know the goods and the bads of Portugal. Previous to here, I was in Spain for 5 years as well. Prior to that, back in Manchester in the UK, which I can say I'm not in a rush to go back to anytime soon. But other than that, the Holborn passport, as a brief overview, is, as I say, it's a service designed to help our clients have the freedom to relocate and help them to achieve a visa by investment. The Golden Visa in Portugal is not the only scheme that we operate, but it is tonight's hot topic, and we'll be going into some detail. But yeah, with our help, we can help you to source qualifying investments, but it is an A to Z service, right from buying the investment through to the applications of the residency, the citizenship after 5 years, and the legal work involved, dealing with the property developers, dealing with the full package. We make it as easy as we can, and you have myself, Shane, and our team working with you right throughout. One of the big plus points to the Golden Visa is, of course, the pathway into Europe. For those that aren't aware, after 5 years of holding the visa, you can apply for a Portuguese passport, which allows you to have unadulterated access to any of the 27 member states within Europe as well. So more on that shortly. As I say, for today, we're going to focus on Portugal. So as to why, I'm sure if anyone that's on the webinar, you probably already got a bit of an idea what Portugal's like. Otherwise, I suppose it'd be a bit strange that you'd be on a webinar looking at and reading about it. But my experience so far, apart from the 300 days of sunshine that you get, it has, certainly in the Algarve, has some of the very best beaches in Europe from experience. And my Algarve is my preference. The other city centres further north is, of course, Lisbon, which is very much more built up, much more commercial. And further north again is Porto, which again is another hotspot for English speakers as well. So other than that, I don't see a lot of the sun, as you can see from my very pasty skin. But rewinding it back 6 months, I had a little bit of a tan when I actually get to see the sun. But that wasn't the only reason, certainly, to come to Portugal from Spain. Second thing for me was the tax treatment. There's some really big tax incentives for new residents, which we'll come on to shortly. And other than that, the standard of living in Portugal is very nice. It's really not a bad 9 to 5, and outside of 9 to 5, it's not too bad either, because like I said, lots to do. You can get anywhere in Portugal by train. It's very easy to enjoy each of the city centres, and the overall cost of living is quite low, certainly compared to certain parts of Europe, or for example back in London in the UK. So that's why I moved personally. On top of that, certainly for my clients that are moving with family, Portugal officially has one of the best healthcare systems and education systems anywhere in the world. So that is a key benefit, certainly when I'm speaking to my older clients, or certainly those that are into retirement and thinking about the health. The Portuguese health system is a real big plus. And something that you can take advantage of as you become resident. So yeah, that's a brief overview. Like I say, I'm happy to take any questions on any personal experience on Portugal, but that's, I think, why most people are here. So moving on, we're going to talk through the exciting part of Portugal, which is the tax, which is my forte. And again, not relevant to everybody. One of the key benefits for the Golden Visa is that you don't have to move to Portugal straight away. The real plus point with that particular visa is that you only have to spend on average 1 week in Portugal every year for the 5 years, and it allows you to kind of get that clock ticking towards the passport after 5 years, even if you've not actually moved just yet. But as you become tax resident in Portugal, we can apply for you to have a unique tax treaty of the non-habitual residents. And it was something that was launched back in 2009 with the view to attract wealth and the world's leading talent to Portugal. And if you qualify for NHR, you get a very low rate of tax on certain sources of foreign income. Now, if you're employed or if you're self-employed and you meet a certain highly skilled criteria, that happens to be to the benefit of the Portugal economy, then you can perhaps get a low rate of just 20% as a flat rate of tax. Furthermore, for those that have an income such as pension income, as long as it comes from a country that has a tax treaty with Portugal, there will be a cap of just 10% on the income that you pay from pensions. And it gets better than that. For those that are drawing from dividends, whether it be from their own company, whether it be from a portfolio of investments, or a rental income, for those that perhaps are renting out their home to move or have properties within certain countries, again, with a tax treaty with Portugal, where they can have a complete tax exemption from income tax. Well, it doesn't get much better than that. So all these apply for the first 10 years of residence in Portugal. After the 10 years, again, long-term financial planning, we always make sure that we have the right investment vehicles in place so that when the NHR finishes, that you have a 60% reduction on your income from investments and your managed portfolios as well. So that's more something that we get into as you approach becoming an actual tax resident in Portugal, which might not be at the point of applying for the Golden Visa. But again, certainly something to look forward to further down the line. So what is the Golden Visa? Portugal is seen as very much the gateway into Europe. Okay, that's for a couple of reasons. The criteria for a Golden Visa in Portugal is, well, the minimum investment is 280,000 euros, and you can attain the passport after just 5 years, which is much faster than any other part of Europe, and there's no donations needed, which often puts potential investors off as well. And after the 5 years, you can have that visa-free travel to live and retire in any of the EU countries. Very similar to what I used to have when I had before Brexit, with a British passport, which unfortunately was taken away and is now treated as an illegal alien in other countries now. But of course, that's where the visa comes in. But after 5 years, I'll be looking forward to achieving my passport and then being able to access any of the other countries. But the scheme was introduced back in 2012. Now just over 11,000 applications have been submitted and approved, and there is quite a wide range of different investment options that you have to achieve the Golden Visa, which we'll be looking at shortly. But it's a scheme that's been around for quite a long time. It works. It's not there's various countries that launch new incentives to attract people to move to their country, which don't always come to fruition. But the Portuguese Golden Visa has been around for some time, and last year, in fact, in total, since the scheme was launched, Holborn assets have actually submitted over 10% of all global applications for the Golden Visa. I'm very proud to say as well that we have a 100% success rate, touch wood, on all of the applications that we've done so far. So other than that, as we move forward, there has been a lot of press recently about the Golden Visa. There was a kind of a walking comment from the Prime Minister about how the Golden Visa has it's kind of served its purpose. And for the reasons it was originally introduced, he feels that it's no longer needed. So as of literally last week, there was a lot of panic and was kind of thinking, as a worst case scenario, we may only have kind of 6 months left of the Golden Visa. So there was a lot of pressure to kind of get our skates on. However, in literally this week, Parliament did vote against the withdrawal of the Golden Visa, which is great news because it means we've got until at least 2024 to basically enjoy the Golden Visa for Portugal. But it's nothing that we've not seen before. It's often been under review, as we can see from some of these news links. There's always mixed opinion. There's certainly local opinion. Sometimes immigration isn't always welcome. Other officials think it's a great uplift for the economy. But it's always something that's under review, and we say that, look, if it's something that you want to do and it's in the pipeline at some point in the future, if you're able to do it whilst you can, because it can be withdrawn and the rules can change very quickly without any notice. This year, as an example, in January, the rules changed significantly from being able to buy residential property in Portugal to basically not being able to buy residential property, certainly in the main city centres such as Lisbon, Porto, and the Algarve. So now we must buy commercial or touristic property if you want to be in those city centres, which for a lot of people made was a big hurdle to overcome. But that's a general overview. We've not got any concerns right now. It's in full flourish. The Golden Visa scheme the Golden Visas are being processed on normal turnaround times now. But on that note, I'm going to step aside and introduce you to Shane Peacock, who heads up our Golden Visa, should I say, residency and citizenship team here at Holborn. Hi there, Shane.
Hi, Jason. Thank you very much for having me. So after that diligent introduction, thank you very much. I'm going to go through sort of more detail. I'm going to go through who can apply, what we can use as a qualifying criteria, and all the way through to how does it work and what options do we have. So who actually qualifies for the Golden Visa? The nice thing about the Golden Visa is we can actually utilize 3 generations. So we can have 3 generations being the main applicant and their spouse, whether married or unmarried. We can also include children. Now, children, there is no official age limit. The only requirement is that the dependent child needs to be financially dependent on you. And how they prove that is the fact that they have to be enrolled in full-time study. So as long as we can prove enrollment in full-time study over the 5-year period, the dependent will qualify. The other benefit is you can include parents. So both parents, both main applicant and spouse. And again, requirement for financial dependency. However, there is a nice little nuance there in the fact that if the parent is above the age of 65, we no longer need to prove that they are dependent. So it's automatically assumed. So people above the age of 65, we can add on with little to no fuss. There are other options to be able to add on, dependent children, adult children that have medical issues or learning disabilities or things like that, but that we can go on a more personal basis. Now, moving on to what qualifies, as Jason said, everything changed from the 1st of January this year. We no longer can accept residential property in your main city centers, including Porto, Lisbon, Algarve, Cascais, most of your coastline, basically. However, the commercial property lends in favor to a lot of our clients because it's an option that generates an income with little to no input, and therefore clients are able to invest, know that their investments are safe, earning a return, growing in the way it should be, and we're able to manage that on their behalf. So the qualifying criteria from a price point of view has not changed. What the requirement is, 500,000 is a new build property, anywhere within your main cities. If you are looking at reducing that slightly to 350,000, that will be a renovated project or a rejuvenation project. Generally speaking, those projects have to be at least 30 years old, and we have to renovate them, as the wording would suggest. However, if we move either of these projects into what we call a low density area, so less than 100 people per square kilometer, and that's residents, we can reduce these costs by 20%. So that's where that magic number of 280,000 comes in for a renovation project and 400,000 for a new project. Now, because it's low density, doesn't mean we're putting you in the middle of nowhere. In fact, a lot of the Algarve actually qualifies for that. So we can still have beachfront properties, we can still have amazing resorts that we can offer our clients and still have lots and lots of tourism happening around those areas. Now, most of our clients have sort of an understanding of the property element. And what we've seen over the last year or so is majority of our clients, in fact, 95% of all our clients at the current stage are preferring property. They understand it, they can see it, they can touch it. Alternatively, there is an investment fund, so we can look at the investment fund if that's the way you want to go. What we've seen is a sort of movement away from that because of the fact that it has unfortunately moved from 350,000 euro to 500,000 euro from the beginning of the year. And anyone watching the markets at the moment become a little bit nervous to invest. Your general term of investment on those investment funds, you're probably looking at about a 7-year period. So just things to take into account. We can assist in all the different options depending on what works for you. But as I say, majority of our clients prefer property because they can see it, touch it, and they've had experience with property in the past. Now, the process itself is fairly straightforward. Now, as Jason suggested earlier, we're an A to Z company. So every part of the process, we are with you. And myself and my team will form that relationship over the next 5 years. So for the next 5 years, we will make sure that everything works on your behalf. The process starts with you choosing an investment. Once your investment has been chosen, we'll put everything into black and white. Sign all the agreements. We'll then pay your legal fees, and we can start the process. That includes tax numbers or NIF numbers for anyone above the age of 18. Once we have those in place, we can open up a bank account for the main applicant. That bank account needs to be domiciled within Portugal, and the reason for that is that's where your property is going to be purchased from. Once the account has been opened and verified, you would transfer the funds from wherever they are in the world to your new Portuguese bank account. The sending bank needs to be in your personal name, or if it's a company, you need to be a 100% owner of that company. So little things that we do need to pay attention to, but again, we will help you in all the facets. Once we have purchased your property, so once we got the bank account, we're going to buy your property. Again, lawyers, us will be with you. But once we've done that, we'll then submit your application. Now, for your application, you are going to need a couple of documents. These documents include police clearance or FBI clearances. They include birth certificates, marriage certificates, whatever the situation is. Again, we'll instruct you. All that will be submitted to the SEF, which is the Immigration Division for Portugal, and we'll get a pre-approval. So this is an approval in principle. The only thing they need to confirm is you are in fact who you are. And the way they do that is biometric appointment. This is the only time, unfortunately, you will have to leave the chair that you're sitting in now because of the fact I can't take your fingers with me, because we'll need your fingerprints, we'll need retinal scans, we'll need to do all that. Again, the lawyer will be with you on site for your appointment, so we'll make an easy transition for you. Now, once that's done, fairly simple. We get your approval in place and we get your cards. Those cards are the magic things. They make sure that you are able to live, work, study within Portugal. So you'll have the same rights as any Portuguese citizen. You just cannot vote, run for office, or utilize their passport yet. So no president just yet. A few years, we can have a look at that. Those cards will also, if need be, you have the right to travel to all Schengen countries, visa-free, so no more Schengen visas required. And you can spend a maximum of 90 days in a 180-day period within those countries. Right? So quite a nice freedom of movement option and give you the rights to live in Portugal. Most of our clients are looking at the passport, though. So to move to the passport is fairly simple. If you decide you want to continue with the Golden Visa, that's not a problem. We can continue as long as you renew your Golden Visa every 2 years. Now, to renew your Golden Visa is pretty much the same steps as what we would do to initially get your Golden Visa. So there would be a biometric appointment. The only thing that needs to happen for that renewal is we need your minimum stay, and that's 14 days every 2 years you need to spend within Portugal, and we need your properties to still remain. Right? Everything else will be processed the same as what it was in the beginning. And we are now, after 5 years, capable and allowed to apply for citizenship and permanent residency. Now, in most cases, we're going to apply for both at the same time. Generally speaking, permanent residency will come first, which now means you no longer need to adhere to the Golden Visa. Certain cases, certain countries don't allow dual citizenship, so those clients will remain on permanent residency until they decide to move to citizenship. The majority of our clients will then apply for citizenship. Saying citizenship a lot, yeah. The requirement to be able to apply for this process is you need to have your residency for 5 years. You need to have proved that you've been there 5 weeks in the 5 years, and you need to pass a basic language test. So there's a basic Portuguese language test. It's the most basic level at A2 for the European Union. Most of my clients are taking around about 6 months to get to the correct level. Some of our clients are a little bit better, a little bit faster. but you've got 5 years to be able to pass this. Okay? So it shouldn't be a hindrance, it's more of an advantage. But once you have that passport, you now have the 5th best passport in the world. Sorry, Jay, it's the same number as the UK, but they've got the magic EU. They can live, work, study anywhere within the EU, and that obviously opens up a lot more doors. As you said, gateway into Europe. Right? If you've got any questions about any of these processes, anything sort of that you heard, please let us know in the Q&A section, and we'll answer those for you. Now, recap how everything works. Probably about 12 months. I'm going to say at the moment, we're looking at a 12-month period. It is getting better. So if you're coming in, we're going to do probably about 10 months, but let's work on 12 months to get your initial golden visa. From there, we'll renew in year 2, we'll renew in year 4. Then year 5, once we've passed the language test, we'll now apply for citizenship. So getting your passport basically, right? Again, any questions, let us know. On to the more exciting part. We have a number of properties based all throughout Portugal. These opportunities are available. A lot of them are exclusive to Holborn, and we generally deal in your more busier areas. So from a tourism point of view, Algarve is probably your most sort of attractive area. It's more of a Mediterranean feel with the warmer seas, warmer climate, and very, very beautiful. You can ask Jason, that's where he lives. Now, Lisbon is always going to be an attractive opportunity, and that's because it is your capital. It is a metropolitan area, and it does have all your shopping and your city feel, right? So these are the areas that we're going to focus on. Most of our clients, when they're starting this process, they're either looking at your entry point pricing, so around about 200,000, or they're looking at your greater returns. Tonight, I'm going to show you a little bit of both and something in between. Right? The first project we have available is called the Riverside in Faro. It's a Riverside hotel. It's going to be a 123-room hotel that will be built in the city of Faro, which is basically where your main airport is within the Algarve area. We're looking for 140 investors. Currently, we have about 90 investors already. These projects normally last about 3 months before we sell out, and we've had a lot of success with the developer themselves. It is a large-scale developer, a Canadian company with operations within Canada, USA, and obviously Portugal. In fact, with Portugal, they're the largest hotel developers within the country. Right? It's going to be a 123-room hotel, but obviously offering our clients the benefit. It does get you your Golden Visa for minimum price of 280,000. The return we've structured in a different format. So instead of earning a return as an income generating tax, we've reworked that return and we're getting them to pay certain costs for you. So that 3%, instead of earning as an income, we're going to reduce your costs by them paying your IMT tax or your transfer fees, as well as your VAT. It equates to about 35,000 euro. Right? Other benefits that it gives you is it gives you 100% buyback guarantee, or what we call a forward contract. That forward contract stipulates that once you've now hit your 6 years or you've obtained your permanent residence or citizenship, they will buy back that property at the 280,000 mark. And it's pretty much our most sort of basic level. It's the easiest way of processing a golden visa. Money in, money out. Other benefit will be the fact that you can utilize any of their hotels 7 days per year all throughout Portugal. So this year you could do Porto, next year you could do Lisbon, and the following year you could do Algarve. So creating a little bit of opportunity there. Now, on to the next one. I want everyone to see Jason's acting skills. We're going to run through a bit of a clip. It's a new property that we've released, also in the 280,000, but I'm not going to take too much of Jason's spotlight away. I'm going to let him give you the tour. Jason?
Very good. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, this is what I looked like before the mustache. There we go. 500,000 euros.
That is the minimum price tag for those looking to buy a new build property here in Portugal that wish to qualify for the Golden Visa. Those that are fortunate enough to be able to afford that price will immediately benefit from the right to live, work and retire anywhere in Portugal. Not only that, after 5 years, they'll have the option to apply for the European passport, which allows them to do all of the above in any of the European states. But what happens if you don't want to spend 500,000 euros? Well, you have two options. Option one is you can buy a property that isn't brand new. And if you can find one that you like that's over 30 years old, you can bring that 500,000 down to just 350,000. Option two is where you can buy a property in what is deemed to be a low density area. Unfortunately, however, that rules out most of the Algarve, Porto, Lisbon. So the question is, do you really want to buy an old property in the middle of nowhere with no tourism? Well, today we're going to have a look at how you can keep that 280,000 euro price tag, but have all of the above and more. What if I said there was a purchase you could make here in the Algarve? It's just walking distance from the beach with 5 years rental income guaranteed for 285,000 euros. What if I said that that rental income was paid up front as part of the purchase? If that doesn't sell it for you, there is the developer that will offer to buy the property back from you once you have your passport in 5 years, the same price as what you purchased it for. Sound too good to be true? Well, walk with me and see why Holborn Assets continues to be the market leader for Golden Visa investments here in Portugal. Allow me to introduce you to Holborn, situated here between Portimao and Lagos in the Algarve. Holborn is one of my personal favourites, and later this month Holborn Assets will be releasing a new development here in Holborn, just 5 minutes walking distance from this beach right behind me. The thing with Holborn is that it is still situated in what is deemed to be a low density area, meaning that we can meet that lowest price entry point of 280,000. The development that will be offered later this month, the starting price will be 285,000, with all of what we just mentioned a moment ago. You'll also be able to stay in the property, rent the property and sell it back at the price you paid for as soon as your passports have been granted. Now, some of you might be aware that the rules changed around the Golden Visas in January 2022, where you can no longer purchase residential properties. That's not to say that you can't enjoy your holidays still with a commercial or a touristic investment. That's all I can tell you for now. The official launch will be later on this month. In the meantime, you can download more information on this page, or you can register for one of our webinars, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Make your investments do more with Holborn Assets.
Over to you.
Thank you, Jason. The Grammys are on their way. So that specific property that Jason's talking about is called the Yellow Tulip in Holborn. As you can see, this summer it was an amazing place to be there with you, with clients and their families. We have closed it down for renovations, but we're adding additional pools, we're adding additional bar and restaurant facilities, and we're completely reworking all of the rooms themselves. So brand new furniture, electronics, and obviously air cons that way. The project itself is offering our clients one unit, which consists of 2 studio apartments. Those studio apartments are starting from 185,000 euro. And benefits to the clients is you are able to use this project at least 2 weeks per year. It does come with a forward contract or buyback, as we suggested. This one's slightly different. It's what we call an optional buyback. So you have the security from day one that your money will be funded. However, if you decided that as an opportunity, there is a benefit to keep the property and obviously make the capital growth, you are able to cancel that buyback in year 4. Right? So it's almost like the best of both worlds. Opportunity as far as a rental goes, it will be closed down for about 18 months. And during that 18 months, they're obviously developing. The 3% that you would earn in the 3 years after that works out to be about 3.3%. We'll pay as your IMT and your stamp duties. We'll cover all your transfers, we'll cover your notary costs. And from year 6 onwards, you'll start to earn a return. The return consists of a rental pool, and generally you'll get 50% of that, which works out to be about 4 to 5% every year. Any questions about that, we'd be more than happy to answer.
It's just
Now,
to
if we
jump in
go-
there as well, Shane. I was just going to
Go for
say
it.
it's probably worth highlighting. Obviously, in the video, right in the early stages of the launch, there was going to be a rental income for the first 5 years, but we quickly realised that that would become a taxable event for our clients. So rather than paying the rental income, that was changed for basically a deduction in fees and taxes. So the equivalent rental income has been substituted for the payment of the stamp duty and the transfer taxes, which isn't a taxable event.
And Jason, you are the tax expert, so yeah, that's generally why we did it. Now, alternative options, we do have alternative options. As I said to you, we have two kind of structures. Well, we have everything in between, but the two main structures that we look at is either lowest capital entry point, or we look at a return basis. This specific project's a little bit of all, right? So it is a brand new development. It's about 15 minutes away from Lisbon Airport. And it is the development that we're already about 70% complete. Now, what it's offering is it's offering a villa, either a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom villa, starting from about 512,000 euro. Right? What that gets you is, as I said, a 3-bedroom with a pool. In addition to that, we have underground parking with underground storage. The main clubhouse facilities include paddleball, which is becoming quite a big thing, a paddle court there. It includes pools, spa facilities, and the entire development is managed on site. So you have 3 options there. You decide to go for the rental, the normal rental, guaranteed yield, everything from 3% to 6%, depending on your property, if it has a pool, depending on the size, but you get a guaranteed rental yield there. You can utilize the property if you're going for that option at least 7 days per year. Alternatively, if you would like to spend more time within the property, obviously it's your property, it's allowed. In that basis, we can, while you're not there, rent out the property where you'll get 50% of the return. The aim is there about 7 to 10%. So again, we're looking at about 4 to 5% in your pocket. And obviously that creates opportunity for you to spend more time within Portugal. If, on the other hand, you would like to live in this property, it is a possibility. So you are able to utilize this property, no yield, year-round. So you can live there, enjoy the surroundings, enjoy the country as Jason does, and it creates a little bit of an opportunity. Again, something if you would like to go see, we can arrange that for you. Now, from a return point of view, we have basically what I believe to be the best product on the market. This opportunity is a PGA European golf course. Right? It offers a 5-star hotel, offering things like indoor swimming pools, gym facilities, pools, restaurants, bars, all within the hotel. It offers, as you can see, individual units, and those are the units that you'll be purchasing. The golf course is designed by Seve Ballesteros before he passed away. The hotel and surroundings are designed by Philippe Stark. Right? Now, as an offering, it is offering a 1-bedroom apartment starting at 500,000 euro. And for that, we are giving you a 7% return. It is a gross return of 7%. What happens in Portugal is any income earned within Portugal as a non-domiciled tax resident is taxed at a flat rate of 28%. Anything above 10,000 euro as a return, the developers have to do a withholding tax of 25%. Even with a 25% withholding tax, it gives you a net of 5.25% guaranteed for 5 years. Those full 5 years worth of income, we're going to pay to you up front. So reducing your capital. So instead of you having to spend 500,000 euro, you're looking at about a 368,000 investment. Again, we do have the buyback. This one again is like the other one, which is optional buyback. And the benefit of that is at the end of the period, even if you had to take your buyback, you're getting 500,000 euro back. The nice thing about that is if you look at an average family of 4, at the end of the period, all costs, everything included, you're actually still making a profit. So everything will be covered and you're still walking away with additional funds in your back pocket. Right? Nice thing about this option, it is a year-round opportunity because it is a golf course. So winter, summer, all those options are available to you and you can utilize it 6 weeks per year. That 6 weeks you can split. You can either say, I want my apartment, but I would like an additional one. And we, instead of paying, using 6 weeks, we can use a 3 weeks. So we can alternate that 6 weeks however you feel. Right? So very, very good opportunities and very sort of cost-effective solutions. Now, most people want to know about the costs, the taxes, things like that. So things to bear in mind when you are investing, there are generalized government costs that we need to take into account. These include application fees, these include card fees, and these include renewals. Application, you're looking at 532 euro. Card fees, you're looking at 5,324 euro per person. And when you're doing a renewal, you're looking at half of those costs, so 2,662. When we're looking at the property and the transfer fees, now bearing in mind a lot of our properties, we do cover these costs for you. So part of the benefit, we will cover these costs. But if you're looking at the transfer fees or what they call IMT tax and stamp duty, you're looking at about between 6 to 7.5%. On a tourist property, you are looking at 7.3. So just things to take into account. As I said to you, the tax rate is 28% for a non-domiciled tax resident, and you will have to do a tax return every year. But again, we will help you out there. All right, Jason, any questions?
Yes, a couple of were emailed in actually today, Shane. If we can start with those. I think we've covered it a little bit in the webinar, but can you just clarify, Shane, the difference between a guaranteed, a mandatory, and an optional buyback?
Okay. So mandatory buyback is a solution where the developers want the property back. So you will still have the right to stay in their development. You can keep the development as long as required for the Golden Visa. However, when it's time to sell, they only allow you to sell back to them. So mandatory meaning that you can only sell back to them, and it's an agreed price. The agreed price is generally going to be your starting price for your 280,000. That is the price that you will get back at the end of the day. The optional buyback is the best of both worlds. So you have the security straight up front. If anything were to happen during that period, they would buy back the property at the same price. However, once you've now had time to reassess the markets, make sure everything's going in the right direction, you could choose to cancel the buyback. Generally, that will be in year 4, so it gives you 4 years to analyze the environment, cancel that buyback, and then you have the right to keep it, sell it, do with it as you wish.
Thank you, Mitch. Is there a map to see which areas are deemed low density areas?
There is a map. So we do have those areas mapped out. And what they've basically done is instead of saying, well, this area will qualify under residential and this area will qualify under commercial, what they've done is they've almost given you a list of all the areas that will qualify under residential. So we do have access to the map. If you would like that, let us know. We can send it to you. But majority of the places you would like to be. So where most of your tourism is happening, where most of your returns are happening in your main cities. So the areas which are more commercial.
Thank you. Is it possible, Shane, to include parents on the application? They are 62 and 61 years old.
So the answer is yes. However, because of their ages, we need to make sure that they are dependent. So we need to prove that they are financially dependent on you. That magic number that we need to get is 65. So once they hit 65, we can prove that they are, well, we don't need to prove anything. It's assumed that they are dependent on you. So remember, at any point in time during the process, we can add on dependents. So if at a later stage you wanted to add your parents on, once they've hit 65, we can do it at that point. Same as if you were to be remarried, or if you had additional children, we can add those children or spouses on at any point in time during your 5-year process.
Super. There's one query, Shane, which I can take. There's a bit of confusion between the difference between the NHR and the Golden Visa. So just to clarify, an NHR is not a visa. It is a tax scheme, basically. So the visa allows you permission to move to Portugal and to stay in Portugal, but NHR is then the tax regime that you apply for once you move to Portugal, and then that's when you can benefit from the tax discounts on things like dividends, rental income, and pension income as well. So the NHR goes hand in hand with the visa. Other than that, Shane, there was a question around the D7. Like what's the main difference between a D7 and the Golden Visa? I don't know if you want to take that one.
Yeah, so D7, basically a D7 and a Golden Visa get you to the same point. It's just how it operates in the middle. So D7 is if you are wanting to go and live now within Portugal, it requires you to have a passive investment or a passive income. And with that passive income, it also requires you to spend at least 6 months of every year within the country. So you use a pack up and go, and you would go live in Portugal. However, the Golden Visa is more of what we call a plan B. So you don't have to live within the country. You can spend 14 days every 2 years within Portugal. And for that, you will have the same rights as a D7. So you'll both, after 5 years of residency, both get your passports. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Super. There's a question from Fenella, Shane. It's again about the D7. We generally don't want to go into too much detail on the D7, with Golden Visa being the topic, but can parents be added to a D7? Do you know, Shane?
So that becomes a bit complicated because of the fact that the entire family would need to be there. So if we can prove dependency, they would be allowed, but they would also, as with yourself, need to be physically based within Portugal.
Which is one of the key differences between the two, isn't it, Shane? Because the Golden Visa, you don't have to be here for more than 1 week a year. The D7 is designed to be moving full time, which doesn't fit for a lot of people. But yeah, of course, yeah, if you was adding parents, I suppose they would also have to be here full time as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's primarily for tax. I mean, that they want you to become tax resident, and by becoming tax resident, you need to be there for 6 months.
Super. Okay, great. Well, there's no other questions, Shane. We've got a couple more minutes, everyone. So if there's any last minute questions you'd like to post, please do. From my side, I hope very much that everyone's enjoyed the webinar. Deborah, are you still with us, Deborah?
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Sean.
We can't see you for some reason. We can only hear you. Oh yeah, there we go. We've got you
I'm back. Yeah, thank you both of you for sharing all your knowledge and information. Appreciate it. And being part of the first webinar for Portugal and the services.
We'll go down in history, this one, but yeah, hopefully it's okay. If you need us for any other topics, please give us a shout. Contact details are on the screen, or you can ask Deborah for any questions as well. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add at all, Deborah. Any other questions?
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Thank you for your time, Jason and Sean.
Thank you, guys. All the best.
Thanks, everyone. All the best. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Deborah.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.